Welcome to the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage, where rude mechanicals do magic. Hello, I'm Bronze Age, Director of the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage, and today we're at the lamp bench with a Louie XV wall sconce. Now this is a design motif known as ribbon and tassel. Ribbons and tassels have been around for a very long time. Always a extravagant decorative element to let people know how rich you were. And in the 1700s, in the reign of Louis XV, King of France, it kind of got out of hand. And ever since then, the ribbon and tassel has been a sign of French opulence or decadence, or however you want to phrase it. And these little pieces here, of course, are French horns. The construction is fairly simple. The tubes for the horns, which are the arms of the sconce, are brass, going up to the bell of the horn. This ribbon here has a block underneath it that is holding both arms together, and that block is screwed into the back of this piece, which is just a piece of thin cast brass. And that's kind of a problem because this is fairly brittle, a lot of leverage out here on the end. If I were to put too much stress on this end here or up here at the top, it would probably just break off. And if I managed to let it fall to the floor, it would probably break in about 4 or 5 pieces. Now the solution to that problem is to immobilize this thing so I can handle it and work on it without putting any stress on this long flat piece. Originally, it had a bar across the back here that you would hang it off of a hook, but that broke away a long time ago, and some clever French handyman drilled a hole right there in the center of the ribbon, which is convenient because that means that I can put it on this board with a screw put through it and just bolt this down. And another piece here which clamps it in place. And we're ready to go to work. This is a European socket. It's similar in size to the American candelabra or E12 socket, but they definitely don't fit. Small little adapter pieces are available. I don't recommend them because they tend to get loose, they tend to get hot, and well, just burn out the bulb and burn out the socket, and you're back where you started from. Now an arm like this is deceptively longer than it seems. So when I take the wire, I always mark it at 2 feet intervals. There's 2 feet, there's 4 feet, and there is 6 feet. And this little short arm is probably going to use most of this wire. Now if this was a shorter arm, and being as smooth as tubing tends to be on the inside, I could probably just push the new wire through it. Unfortunately, when you've got up to 4 feet, it's just simply a limit to how far you can push something before the internal friction makes it where it's not going to move anymore. So the trick here is solder the old wire to the new wire. And this is not an electrical connection, it's a mechanical connection. And I want the solder joint to be as short as possible, because at the very end, we've got a corner we've got to go around. And the solder will make the wire very stiff, and that will be a problem when this comes to the end. But it does seem to be nice and strong. Now I turn it around because I want to be able to tug from this side, pulling on here like this. And some beeswax furniture polish goes down the pipe. There's a little lubrication down in there. Will help everything. And then it becomes a matter of pushing to relieve any stress and pulling on this end until we've got it all the way through. And there goes 2 feet of wire. And we are snagged off that solder joint trying to go around that corner, which I think I've managed to relieve. Just a little bit of tugging there. There's a gap right here. There we go. And I can manipulate it a little bit. Whoa. I'm glad it waited till it was outside to break. There we go. Pick it up and move it over that corner. And there we are. Let's see. Well, we're about, I guess, going to be somewhere around 30 inches. So for a sconce where the arms are right about 5 inches away, we've used 6 feet of wire. I once had someone ask me, how many jigs does it take to change a light bulb? Which I took in good humor. But I can't emphasize how much easier it is to do this kind of work when you've got a fixture that holds the lamp or the chandelier or whatever you're working on down. So you got both hands free and much less chance of breaking some of the delicate parts. So now we come to the sermon part. I call it the sermon because it's the same lesson that I include in every wiring video, whether it's a chandelier or a lamp or a sconce like this. For this particular piece, I'm going to point out that wiring sold for lamp repair always has these multi-strands. That's what makes it flexible, so they can go around turns and sharp corners without kinking. But that becomes a problem when you have to attach it to the socket, because the sockets have screw terminals. And the National Electrical Code dictates that stranded wires cannot be put under a screw terminal. It's very difficult to get them tight. They tend to loosen. They get hot. Hot connections end up damaging the socket and shorten the life of the light bulb, and eventually you're going to have something that just doesn't work. The solution is to twist the wires up tight all the way out to the end, and then put a little drop of solder. I have my soldering gun here, and that turns that bundle of wires into a single wire, and it can go underneath the screw and stay nice and tight for pretty much the life of the whole fixture. Next, I always use blue thread lock on threaded fasteners. This is fairly lightweight hardware, and if you were to try to tighten it so tight that there's just no way it would ever come loose while someone was changing a light bulb, you're going to break something. This blue goop will set up in the threads, kind of like a glue, and you can break it loose with regular hand tools, but in the ordinary use of changing light bulbs and that sort of stuff, it's not going to come apart. Lamp cord sold in North America comes in this duplex, 2 wires glued together like that. One side, the insulation is smooth, the other side is ridges. Purpose of that is so that you'll know what screw to put it on. We have a brass colored screw and a silver colored screw. And the smooth wire always goes to the brass colored screw. Wrap it around it clockwise, get it down nice and tight, and when you turn the screw down, it will pull the wire under the screw instead of pushing it out. Then the ridged wire goes underneath the silver screw, and the same thing. And that's pretty much the whole job. One of the nice things about working with modern lighting is it's an engineered system. When you go to install your fresh out of the box brand new lamp or light, what you're going to see at the wall is going to be pretty consistent. And even though this all looks cobbled together, it's no coincidence that those screws line up with those holes. It doesn't work that way with antique lighting. Now this sconce is going to an antique dealer where it's going to be put on display. So I'm wiring it with a cord set so it can be plugged in, light bulbs lit up, so everybody can see what it looks like. But for installing it in a house, it's entirely possible the customer could just hang it on a hook, put a screw through it or something like that, and then leave this cord hanging down the wall. Very few people really want to do that though. So it would require a rather skilled electrician to come up with the hardware. But if you're doing some kind of remodeling in the house, that's something that needs to be planned well ahead, so you don't end up stuck with something that means that you have to do a lot of major work on the wall to make it fit and also be safe. Now all connections made in the lab are soldered. Don't use wire nuts or just twisting the wires together and taping them. That's very bad. And they're all covered with shrink tubing, which is peculiar plastic that draws down tight on the wires. And a little bit of overkill, put a second piece over the tip here. And when the electrician goes to install this, he can cut this wire off at the length he needs and install it just like any other fixture. Now the last thing I do is secure this with a zip tie, which takes all the stress off the connection. That way, if somebody goes to unplug it, they're not going to be yanking on the actual electrical part. And this will make it safe to operate in the environment where it's going to immediately. And that should be a nice compact package that the electrician can squeeze into the box on the wall. Well, now we have a wall sconce fit for the King of France, safe to use in the 21st century. And this is Bronze Age for the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage. Thank you for sitting through this video. We'd really appreciate it if you would hit the thumbs up button, subscribe if you haven't already. Any questions, comments, always welcome. I respond to all, and anything on lights, lighting, chandeliers, lamps, sconces, rocking chairs, dressers, drawers, whatever you got. I'm happy to help. So again, thank you for watching.